All right, time now for AT&T Countdown to the CFP National Championship. And Alabama,
Let's talk about it.
nearly saw their college football playoff hopes evaporate in the Iron Bowl. And it came down to 30 seconds left. Alabama down, and Jalen Milroe with a last-second heave to Isaiah Bond in the corner of the end zone.
Himmy Neutron.
To win the game 27-24.
All right. Everything.
I mean, guys, we have seen some epic Iron Bowls in years prior. This one comes down to it, and Alabama did just about everything on that last possession to hand this game over to Auburn. The bad snap, the illegal forward pass by Jalen Milroe, which, by the way, was his second of this game.
What are we doing?
You had to do that to him.
I'm sorry,
You
Jalen,
had to do that.
And one was in the end zone for a touchdown. They called it back. But
We forgot about all that after.
Yeah, that's right. You know why? Because they made the play
that
won the game, Sam.
we digress.
You play to win the game.
So
okay?
Chaos? You want chaos? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, please. Okay. So Alabama wins this game, but it was almost like a look-ahead game, right? They're going to the SEC championship, which we'll talk about in a second, to play Georgia. But guys, I mean, they skimmed by. I mean, this was really close to being the end of the season for Alabama, and yet here they are, surviving and advancing. This is like March Madness.
Yeah, real quick, shout out to the YouTube chat. I'm in there right now. Noah Rainey, he asked for a shout out. Shout out to you, Noah. Go Bama. Let's give Noah a round of applause. Yeah,
My Venmo account is
But
this ain't free.
About the game, y'all. That fourth down conversion by Jalen Milroe was something that we haven't seen pretty much ever. Entering today, teams have been 0-90 on fourth down and third down conversions of at least 30 yards or more. And Jalen Milroe did that in the final seconds of the game when it all mattered. It almost looked like the throw was going to the back of the end zone.
Yeah, I thought it was
but
going
honestly, it couldn't have gone anywhere else. That was the only spot the ball could have gone. And the fact that he made that play, Sam, after making such a blunder of a mistake the play before, where he should have ran for it. The camera cut to Nick Saban on the line where when Jalen should have just ran and gotten the first down, and Nick was like, go! Right. Heated and completely fired up. That he didn't
You were pretty heated, too.
Oh, man, I was fired
This guy was coaching us up like we weren't watching the game with him. He's like, he's got to do this. We're like, we know, Scoop.
He made up for it, though.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
But they did it, and it was just an incredible throw, Matt, and the numbers also jumped off the page.
Yeah, they did. And what's really cool, too, about this is, one, we were all kids there for a second.
We were.
Just enjoying football, which is so fun. It just doesn't matter. And this is what's so great about this sport. But the X's and O's, it doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, it's about your Johnnies and Joes. And Milroe is phenomenal. This dude and what he has done this year, what he did today, 259 through the air, 103 on the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is an absolute playmaker. He's a fun watch. He plays with such a great charisma and attitude out there in the football field. It's hard not to be a fan of him. And, I'm glad that they survived, because now there's going to be even more of a buildup for this Alabama-Georgia game, which I think is going to be a coup de grace of the season.
And let's not forget.
I mispronounced it twice.
Let's not forget, Georgia did struggle with Auburn, too. Auburn, I think, just showed everyone that they are a solid football team.
But they just lost to New Mexico State, didn't they? Like a week
They
ago.
did.
But
They're very
this is college football, and we've talked about this in previous weeks for everyone that comes here to watch.
I'm just saying.
Sometimes you're so much better than a team, but even though you can beat them 9 times in a row, that 10th time they're gonna get you.
The whole premise of the Little Giants.
Yeah, exactly.
No doubt.
One time, that's all you need.
That's all you need. But, you're right, though. And I think the thing to take away from this is that if Hugh Freeze can do a good job recruiting, being consistent with kind of developing what he does offensively and the scheme and all that, like, this team should be more relevant going forward, especially now with, who's coming into the conference. Auburn is, on the right track to getting back to normal.
Right, so Alabama will exhale and quickly move on to Georgia next week in the SEC championship game. Now, Alabama has been Georgia's kryptonite in this game over the last couple of years. They are a perfect 3-0 against Georgia in the SEC title game.
That's also a shout out to somebody in the chat who said Georgia is Alabama's daddy, because when you look at the number, to what Sam just said, they have yet to beat them in the SEC title game.
So what is the key for Georgia to try to not make that 4-0 in the SEC title game?
Yeah, I mean, the key really is for Alabama, can you slow down Carson Beck and what they've been doing? doing offensively. This dude has been playing absolutely phenomenal lately. You know, I see an NFL first-round talent quarterback out there. That's really what I see with Carson Beck and his growth of the position. Now, the cool thing is that, you know, I've said that to Scooby in the past, I kind of see that at times with Jalen Milroe too, you know, and what he's doing. If he can kind of polish his game up a little bit more, you know, only being a sophomore, like I said. So it'll be, can Georgia be multiple on defense like they've been late in the year, causing pressure with outside guys, you know, on the outside, the linebackers, the DBs, all the different looks that they do, confuse Alabama's offense and making sure that they eliminate those big explosive plays down the field. And then, you know, really telling today, Alabama had a tough time stopping Auburn's run. They were very one-dimensional, but yet they were able to push Alabama around consistently today. I think Georgia will take a look at this tape and say, hey, we have some opportunities both in the passing game and the running game from what we saw.
Let's talk a little bit more about Carson Beck, Scoob, and I'll come to you on this because I think, you know, he's still relatively an unknown commodity, at least at the national scale, right? He waited his turn behind Stetson Bennett, finally got his opportunity, and he's made the most of it. But he was handed the keys to a Ferrari and told, don't crash the car. And not only has he not crashed the car, but he has helped Georgia win 3 straight games over top 25 opponents. So what's the biggest challenge that Carson Beck poses to this Alabama defense?
The fact that he is usually untouched when he's back there. 10 sacks on the year, that's 6 in the nation. And then that Georgia offense overall is just so talented, from the offensive line to the running backs, the wide receivers, and the tight end, as we know about Brock Bowers. They also hold the ball longer than any other team in the nation. 34 minutes per game. That is about a minute and some change ahead of the next person. So Carson Beck has the benefit of being able to throw in a clean pocket, has the benefit of being able to just give it to the playmakers the same way that Brock Purdy has in the NFL. It's almost reminiscent with Carson Beck, and I just think he's not as big of a personality and as loud of a personality as some of the quarterbacks who we speak of on a national level, and maybe that's why he's not getting the recognition, because he's the guy on a team with a bunch of guys.
Right. And obviously Brock Bowers, the first time in college football history or football history that a tight end is probably more, you know, prominent of a player nationally. But, you know, a Ferrari is a Ferrari. You know, if Sam Ravage got in a Ferrari and he's lined up next to Sam Ravage,
good in that thing,
saying, hey, man, you look good in it, but if you're next to Max Verstappen, you know, we know what's going to happen. You know, so Carson Beck, I think, is doing his thing. He's one of the most improved college football players this season, along with Jalen Milroe, which is, I think, really exciting for this matchup. And Carson Beck, he is a talented thrower. This dude is super gifted that way. So it's really going to be a great, you know, just battle that way. Which quarterback and which offense can get their quarterback in more rhythm? Which defense can really scheme up more confusing looks for that quarterback, slow the run game, and be a little bit more physical on the line of scrimmage?
So I think we can all agree that if Georgia wins the SEC title game, undefeated, assuming they beat Georgia Tech tonight, they're in. But I'm not so sure that Alabama's path is going to be as clear, especially when you factor in what happened tonight against Auburn. So, Maddie, does Alabama need some style points in this game? Like, do they need to beat Georgia by a certain number? Or, like, what's their path? Or are they even in control?
Yeah, I mean, I think really this is going to be one of those Nick Saban things where it's like, let's just control what we can control. Let's just beat the best team in the country. And if we beat the best team in the country, it should be very difficult for all those people who are in that playoff committee to say that we are not one of the best teams in it, you know, and make them make the difficult decision of saying us or Texas, you know, and just reminding them that our resume of late is more impressive than there is.
Give me something.